Hey guys, it is Shell the Spiritual Warrior, and today we are discussing blaming others for our feelings. Yes, blaming others for our feelings. We are still discussing do our thoughts have feelings, and today blaming others for my feelings. I know because I did it for years. Blaming other people for your feelings, it doesn't do anything but cause you a level of unbelievable frustration. It does, because other people, you feel it. Other people don't really handle your feelings all that well. They're not always delicate with it. You know, when you throw it at somebody and you tell them to take responsibility for it, you're liable to come back with all types of crazy stuff. All types of crazy stuff. You're liable to be on this. You will be on a roller coaster if you put other people in charge of your emotions or your feelings or assigning meaning to your feelings. It'll be a shit show. Not gonna lie. Because I've done it. Blaming the trigger. A lot of times we get offended if somebody tells us something that is the truth. I say the truth because we typically don't become too offended when somebody says something that is totally outlandish and you know that it's so far from the truth that it's not even worth responding to. Like, it's laughable. Like, we know those type of things, but we know the things that it's like, ooh, that was pointed. Like, you came for me. That's really what it is, right? You came for me. Or it may not even be a you came for me situation. It could be a real true relationship and somebody trying to explain how something did not go the way they wanted it to go, or there was a breakdown in communication, or the connection wasn't there, or something like that, and we still get offended. We still have moments where we shut down, don't want to listen, don't want to hear it. It's hard for us to hear stuff about ourselves. It's hard for us to hear things that we need to fix. And some people might say, oh, well, that's constructive criticism, and it's true, it is constructive criticism, but it doesn't always feel like constructive criticism when you really love the person who's giving you the criticism. It feels like I don't even know what that face was, but it feels like that. So blaming the trigger and ignoring the thorn. What that means, ignoring the thorn. Oprah told a story, I don't even know when, I'm an Oprah fan, I just watch stuff. But Oprah explained the thorn as, your thorn is your trigger. It's the thing that in conversation, if danced around or mentioned slightly, or you even feel like the person was aiming to mention it, you immediately start to shut down. You get defensive, and your trigger, whatever they said, it triggered the shit out of you. For example, when I was going through stuff with my sister and all that, even somebody saying, how is your sister? That was a damn trigger. You know how many people ask me, how was my sister? Like, it was immediately a trigger. And there were situations where, depending on who the person was, I felt some type of way. Like, even them asking about it, I felt some type of way because I was not in a happy place with it, and it was hard. It was something that was not easy for me to deal with. So I had to heal that part of my life, so it was no longer a trigger, which is ultimately what everybody has to do. Sometimes before healing, even leaving the emotional attachment, it's really hard to leave an emotional attachment to something that's not healed. I'm not gonna lie. It's hard to just, decide that you don't feel anything for the situation anymore when it's blatantly a large part of your life. It's blatantly still a thorn anytime somebody plucks around it or is even tiptoeing around it. You are ready to beat them over the head for even mentioning this thorn or making you feel this way. the best way to do it is to remove it, is to heal from it, is to deal with whatever that thing is, instead of just blaming the person who pointed it out. A lot of times we are that brave soul, all of us, because we're all of us are on both sides of this thing. We can either be the person who triggers or the person who is being triggered. Being able to remove the trigger is a better option than just trying to offend the other person or trigger them or some way, or oh, I know these things about you, so I'm just shooting back at you. It's not a shooting match. That's not what the goal is. The goal is never to hurt the person in front of you. I don't care what happened as far as conversation. If they said something that was true and it triggered you, the goal is not to try to in turn hurt that person. The goal is to figure out why you were so hurt. Why are you so hurt? Why did that hurt so much? And what can you do to pull the thorn out versus constantly trying to protect or shield wherever it is so that nobody can see it? That makes you so freaking vulnerable, it's not even funny. It makes you so vulnerable as a person, you know. And I laugh because I remember thinking how armored I was against things like that, and now realizing, you know, now that I'm able to drop the shield more often, and yes, I said more often, I don't say all the time because I battle just like everybody else, but I'm able to drop the shield more often, easier, and I feel stronger in my vulnerability than I did in trying to hide the things that made me vulnerable. I feel like not hiding the things that made me vulnerable was what gave me the most strength that I have now. Really, when somebody triggers you and you become upset, whether you are unconsciously or consciously deciding, but you're making that person responsible for your emotional state. You're pretty much saying, you know, if you behave like this or you do this, then I'll be like this. I'll feel this way. I'll make these decisions. And once somebody realizes that, you become incredibly easy to manipulate. Like, when somebody just knows how you want to feel and knows what to say to you to make you feel that way, and that's all you go off of, just whatever it is the good feeling back, you become very, like I said, you become very vulnerable. You become very easy to manipulate into situations. You become very easy to sway because people understand that what you think, it just goes along with an emotion. So if this thought feels good to you, oh, you good to go, right? So all people have to do is present you with an idea or a thought that really makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside, and you're off and running. And there are times, I mean, shit, as a woman, like, as a woman, you already know there's times that you are, I won't even, well, I know for me, that was another thing, I keep it on me. When I was younger, I was much easier to manipulate into different things based off of this exact theory. What was told to me, if it made me feel good, I was easily swayed. The older I got, I said, what the hell is happening here? Which I think a lot of women do. You know, the older you get, you're like, just because you're saying that don't mean that, you know, this is going to happen, or just because that sounds good and it made me feel this way, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be, you become much more, you pay attention more. You become less willing to just go based off of your feelings. So being able to detach from your feelings or your thoughts, it's a large part of protecting yourself. It's a large part of protecting yourself from manipulation. If you can hear somebody say something, no matter how it makes you feel, even if it makes you feel totally incredible, and still step away from it, logically judge it and say, you know what, this makes sense, then cool. But if you are in a place where people can just say things, you feel things, and you're ready to move, that's dangerous. I'm not gonna lie, that's dangerous, and it only becomes more dangerous as you get older. It does, because things become detrimental. What you move off of, if you are not certain in that thing, or that decision was not truly made by you, it was made based off of a feeling that somebody else said, you're potentially in danger. You don't really know what's happening next. You were swayed, you were manipulated. All you did was go off of the feeling of the thought. So don't do that. Also, blaming others for your feelings. Blaming others for your own emotional state. It's a detriment. Even if they mean well, even if that person means all the well for you in the world, making that person responsible for your emotional state is a detriment. Not only to you, it's a detriment to that person, because it's impossible. It's almost like a perfection thing. Nobody can be responsible for your emotional state but you. So I say it's like a perfectionism thing, because perfectionism is a lie. And making somebody else responsible, thinking that somebody will make you happy or make you anything all the time, is a lie. The only thing that the person can do is live their lives, and you respond how you respond. But the thing that you can do is really pay attention to where you are. Really pay attention to your thought process. Really pay attention to the emotion that you're attaching to that thought. Really paying attention to where you are. Are you in bad vibes or are you in good vibes? Those are all the things that you actually have true power over. Not that other person. You don't have any power over that other person at all. I don't care what you think, and I'm not, I mean your significant other, I mean your children. Yes, your children. Yes, your children. You have the power to an extent, but as your children get older, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Trying to make their actions be, control your emotional state somehow, or make that responsible for your emotional state. It makes you vulnerable. It takes away your ability to see clearly what the heck is going on. So never put your emotional state in the hands of somebody else. Never put your emotional state in the hands of somebody else. Never put your emotional state in the hands of somebody else. It's no need for it. It's for you to have in your hands, because you can make the best decision with it. You can do the most with it. You can be the most in control with it. When you put it in the hands of somebody else, they don't know what the heck they're doing. They're responsible for their emotional state. They can't be responsible for both theirs and yours. It's too much. It gets too confusing. So take ownership. Take ownership of how you're feeling, because there is power in taking ownership of how you're feeling. Another thing, when you don't take ownership of how you're feeling and you continue to rely on others for your emotional state, you make it an excuse. You just kind of push your role off on somebody else, like, oh, well, they didn't do so-and-so and that's why I feel this way, or that didn't happen and that's why I feel this way, or oh, they canceled and that's why I feel this way. It's an excuse. That was a weird voice thing. It's an excuse. Ultimately, it's an excuse to not grow, and it's an excuse to berate somebody else, pretty much. And I'm not even saying that other people aren't wrong, but you can't truly understand whether they're wrong or not unless you're aligned enough to say, you know what, they weren't irresponsible for that. That's on me. Taking accountability for your emotional state will be the benefit of everything to everybody. Nobody really wants to be responsible for your emotional state. It's too freaking much. It's too much. I don't really know how you're feeling. I can't control and just say, oh, well, I'll do this and then you'll be happy. And no, it's too much. Make yourself happy. It's way easier. You know what makes you happy. Take time out to do it. Don't put it on anybody else. Just don't do it, because it's gonna lead to serious disappointment. I know, because I've been there. I say that 5 times a day, but but I know because I experienced it. I put my emotional state into the hands of other people and hope for the best, and the best didn't come to pass. And it wasn't their fault. It was my fault for thinking that they could make me happier than I could make myself. It's not possible. So, like I said, I hope this was helpful. Please like, subscribe, discuss. Be responsible for your emotional state. Don't make an excuse to not grow. Don't blame others for your feelings, because it's only going to keep you running around in a circle. You'll be chasing your tail for a very long time if you continue to put that on other people. Take the responsibility. It's empowering. And once you get fitted with it, once it becomes comfortable and you're better able to pull yourself out of different moods and take time for yourself and know how to make yourself happy and all that, things just become easier. It becomes so much easier. So continue to grow, continue to love yourself, continue to learn yourself. Have fun. Seriously, have fun with all of this. Never feel defeated. Never feel like, oh, I'm doing it wrong. It's just life. Like it's just life. Take your time. Be patient with yourself. Continue to allow yourself to experience and go through things and just bring it all together. It's a cumulative experience. So, love you guys. Peace.